Taylor Swift has just released her latest album, Midnights. People are poring over the details of the tracks and the several music videos released along with it. One of her videos, however, has received a massive amount of backlash, with critics accusing it of being fatphobic. We'll tell you how Taylor Swift reacted to the controversy. But first, let's get into what people are so mad about in the first place. The music video in question is for Taylor Swift's song Anti-Hero. Here's how she described the inspiration for the song. Track 3, Anti-Hero, is one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I really don't think I've delved this far into my insecurities in this detail before. The song is a real guided tour throughout the things I tend to hate about myself. We all hate things about ourselves. It's all of those aspects of the things we like and dislike about ourselves that we have to come to terms with if we are going to be this person. Well, in the music video, she wrote and directed, Taylor Swift is confronted by her unhinged alter ego. What drew all the backlash was a very quick scene in which Taylor weighs herself while her alter ego looks on, only to find that the scale reads fat. There it is. People were furious over this. A tweet from the Shira Rose said, Taylor Swift's music video where she looks down at the scale where it says fat is a way to describe her body image struggles. Fat people don't need to have it reiterated yet again that it's everyone's worst nightmare to look like us. And Lucy Wald said, is it possible? It is possible to appreciate Taylor Swift and Midnight as an artist and call her out on her blatant fat phobia. Taylor Swift should have done better, because even if it is relatable and an intrusive thought, it is damaging and fat phobic. Listen to fat people when they tell you this. To me, this isn't just harmful. It reinforces the idea of being fat as bad. It's harmful because the word fat is triggering to many of us who actually exist in these bodies, says Olivia Truffaut-Wong at The Cut. Of course, there were also plenty of people who defended Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift has admitted to body image issues in the past due to intense scrutiny from the media. Swift hinted in her Netflix documentary Miss Americana at instances in her life when she would stop eating after seeing photos of herself where, quote, I feel like I looked like my tummy was too big, or someone said I looked pregnant. Swift expanded on this in an interview with Variety, saying she would exercise a lot but not eat, and implied that she struggled with her relationship to food. But in the end, the critics won out, and Swift has removed the shot of the scale reading fat from her music video, so now it's just her alter ego shaking her head disapprovingly at the scale, but without the taboo word. I'm torn on this, Cenk. What do you think?
Yeah, look, guys, I'm not as torn, but I get it. I get why people are mad about it, but at the same time, I vote no. Okay, so now a lot of people are gonna say, no, you're not allowed to vote no. There's a certain thing you have to say. Okay, no, I will also vote no on that. So look, so I'm overweight. And so now I don't even know if I'm allowed to use the word fat. Like we just said it, like 10 years from now, they might say, oh yeah, you use the F word, right? Oh, but I use it about myself. No, you're not allowed to use it about yourself. I don't know, okay? But I do know, so like on the one hand, folks who are in that realm, right, that are either activists or care about this personally, they're allowed to say whatever they want, and they're allowed to get upset, and they're allowed to voice that, right? So that's not cancel culture or anything like that. They're just saying their opinion, right? But at the same time, do we all have to do what the people who are most sensitive about it think? And my answer is no. And that's gonna be a controversial answer, and people are gonna say, no, you do have to do what the most sensitive people want you to do. But no, I don't. So so I'm overweight, and so do I think that it's great being overweight? No, I don't. And so I wish I weighed less for health reasons. And here, I'll admit this too, for looks. I think I look better when I'm skinnier. Okay, so you're like, people might think, don't say that, that's fat phobic. But it's also true. So you say whatever you want to say, and then I'll say whatever I want to say, okay? And that's how this thing works. And so I don't think she should have taken it out, because she's not trying to insult anyone. She's talking about her own insecurities. Is she not allowed to have that insecurity? Or does she have to use special words about that insecurity? And is she not allowed to do it because she's actually skinny, right? And she might have that insecurity, but she's not overweight at all, right? But would she be able to do it if she was overweight? Would she be able to do it if she was middling of weight? Am I allowed to say middling weight? Who are you to judge middling weight? I don't know, I'm a person. So we've got to at least be able to have honest conversations without anyone shutting it down. And I feel like when you make her take it out of the video, that's a form of shutting it down.
Well, so to that end, that's why I'm a little torn on the issue, because I agree that we go too far in trying to police language, and we go too far in trying to tell people they can't express themselves as they want. That's something that is very antithetical to what the left is supposed to be. Historically, it's supposed to be very open-minded, allowing differences of opinion. But also, I think it's important to not needlessly marginalize groups that are already feeling bad about themselves further for no reason. So I do think it probably is a little bit different if Lizzo says, oh, this is for all the fat girls or something. I believe she said something like that. Then if Taylor Swift is saying it, who's a skinny girl, and looks at the horror of the word fat on her scale, I could see that being very offensive to any fan of hers who is not as skinny as her, which probably is 80% of people that are a little bit less. But at the same time, when I feel overweight, I got on the scale, I look at myself with my shirt off, and I think, I'm fat right now, I want to change that, and I don't think you should be able to censor, or should censor, that thought. But then again, I'm also torn, because what's the difference, then I'm curious your thought, between like many years ago, most of us would say the R word for somebody with Down syndrome. And you could say the same argument, you could say, oh, I just feel like I was being slower in my brain than I normally am. So I'm gonna be able to say, oh, I was being R word about myself. Why shouldn't I be able to say it? Well, because that group of people are gonna see it as a slur. Is there a way you can speak to your own insecurity without denigrating another group?
So I'm gonna say something radical that no one else in media ever says. It depends. Like, everyone wants to live in a black and white world. Okay, that word is now banned, no one can say it. Or, oh, that word is awesome, we can all say, who cares, right? Or maybe it kind of depends. Like, so.
Gray areas don't get ratings, Cenk. Come out of here.
Right, so guys, are there words that are so offensive that we shouldn't say them? Of course there are, right? N-word, the other F word related to LGBTQ folks, etc. And the fact that people used to say it before, especially the F word, right, doesn't mean that it was okay. It was just, people shouldn't have said it back then. And so how are you gonna make this judgment call? Well, it's hard, right? So number one rule for me is don't be a right? So if you're calling someone fat, that's obviously way worse. It's 1,000 times worse. If you're saying, hey, I'm fat and I'm worried about it, okay, that's, maybe some people say, no, that's also out of bounds. But clearly it's not as bad as calling someone else fat, right? So we have to be able to use human judgment. But I feel like is there a language police? Yeah, there is, right? So don't kid yourself, like, no, I'm just regulating your speech. Yeah, I know, that's the language police, right? And so that doesn't mean you're like, all language police are bad, because if somebody's like N-word this and N-word that, you kind of want to police that, because it really bothers people, it causes massive conflict. It's been a huge problem in this country. So it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any, but so on all of these issues, I think for this one, each one of them requires a different judgment call. So on this one, I don't think the word should be banned, and I think you shouldn't be to others, but you're allowed to talk about your body any goddamn way you please, right? And
sure, but maybe there's a nuance there. Like, so as you were saying that, it made me think like maybe it's not the word itself that's offensive, but it's the thought maybe that when a scale gets to a certain number just above Taylor Swift's normal weight, that it's fat on the scale. If the scale had said you're fat, maybe then it's saying that that's how the scale is making her feel like it's attacking her, instead of saying, oh, this is a certain line and you don't cross it. I mean,
so
it's
you're making me do a third rule. I like this. This is a great conversation. So. And these, by the way, these rules will be the rule from now on for everybody. Okay, so just so you know, because like people on the right wing do it, people on the left wing do it. Why can't I do it? Okay, these are the rules now. Okay, and if you violate it, you're a bad person. So
I'm glad we're back to black and white. I'm gonna pick up that paper.
Okay, so one, don't say it to other people as an insult, right? Two, you can say anything you want about yourself, and then I would say in this case, the third rule is, we have to have, since this is something that is so pervasive, right? Our weight issues, and it's such a normal part of conversation, be sensitive about it, but I would give wide berth to like folks talking about it without being accused of being a bad person.
I'm not sure you're allowed to say wide berth anymore.
I swear to God, as I was saying, I was like, is this wrong? Like, I didn't mean it, it's not an insult. And again, guys, I am significantly overweight. Like, do you think this desk is here just coincidentally? No, it used to be lower. We lifted it up so that it covered up my gut. We lift up the camera so it's shooting down at me and not shooting up. We're not playing.
And because I love to do exposed midriff bottoms of my suits.
Yeah, that's also true, but it's unrelated to this.
It's true.
Yeah, but I like looking at it.
Thank you.
Okay, so no, you gotta be like, if we're pushing people away from the left, if they're super nervous to even talk to us.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I'm so bummed that I didn't exercise this week because I gained like 2 pounds. You're fat shaming. Oh, well, I don't know, I don't know, right? Like, what the, okay, like, hey, you know, I want to be a little bit healthier. I ate too much over a thing. You're fatphobic. Like,
and then it leads to the extreme where it gets absurd, like famous fitness hosts on television get criticized for saying this person might be at an unhealthy weight. This person should lose weight. They can't even give the advice that could help their health.
Yes. Now, by the way, the right wing is now instantly taking this too far. And in the right wing, I include Bill Maher and stuff. They've gone on this like weird rant where they're like, oh yeah, what's the big deal? Fat's bad, man. It's bad for your health and you shouldn't be fat. Like, all right, oh my God, you're so edgy. Okay.
Not everybody can be friends with the twig that is Ann Coulter.
Yeah, I know, right? Let alone date her, but which he did.
He did?
Yes.
And by the way, you know who, by the way, her longtime boyfriend, as far as what I've heard, also is, considering all of her anti-racial equality rhetoric, Jimmy J.J. Walker.
And Dinesh D'Souza.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I remember Dinesh and Bill Maher from memory. If I got it wrong, sorry, okay? Now you can ban me, okay? So, but that's my recollection. All right, so, but look, being overweight, I think about it like this. Like, guys, when folks yell at us and say, hey, it's your fault, just shut your mouth. And people have literally said that to me. Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with genetics, it's just you eat too much, etc. First of all, how would you know? Like, are you guys all scientists and you're all genetic experts?
Everybody is gene scientists.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I've actually, Cenk, I've looked at your DNA and it's perfcly fine. It's just that you're eating like, you're eating way too much.
We at Ancestry.com think you're fat, Cenk.
Right, like, how the hell would you know if it's genetic or not genetic? And by the way, there's such a simple answer to that. It's partly genetic and partly what you eat. Of course it is. So like you all, I have a best friend growing up. He literally would eat an entire pie of pizza and wouldn't gain a pound. Okay, I'd eat 1 slice of pizza and gain 2 pounds. Oh, it's not genetic. That's ridiculous, right? Now, is it purely genetic? Of course not. If I eat 1 slice instead of 3 slices, would it make a difference in my weight? Of course it would.
Did all the cheese slide to your side, maybe? Did it get like shift in the delivery?
Accidentally. Now, we kid around about this on the show all the time, but I actually don't overeat, but I eat really bad stuff. So is that gonna make a difference? Yeah, of course it's gonna make a difference. Is that the only reason why I'm overweight? No, it's not the only reason. So it's a mixture of both. And by the way, if you drew the wrong card, which I did, right in this case, I drew a lot of great cards. I feel blessed. I feel incredibly blessed with my life. On this part, I don't have great metabolism, right? But it is what it is. You still have to try to be as healthy as you can be, right? So can we have reasonable conversations like this? My guess is yes, that most people watching will go, yeah, that totally makes sense. I like what these guys are saying, right? And people on Twitter will be like, outrageous, you fatphobic goddamn fatty. Wait, what? So, like the insults on Twitter are so funny. They're like, you're not allowed to say things like that. You're outrageous, you pig scum. Like, wait, I thought we weren't saying outrageous things.
Yeah. Well, luckily we can always all hate on very skinny people. We have that
good
left.
Deal.
One thing left.
It's rule number 4.
That's right.
Make
fun
people.
Of skinny people. Well, don't F them, they might break.
Yeah, well, okay,
very brittle bones, brittle skinny bones.
It's 2, wide berth and
brittle skinny bones.
I knew it was gonna get me in trouble both ways. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.